well, so today I think we're going to try to mess around with this fender. What we're going to do is jack it up, put it up on some stands, try to get this fender off. I'll try to bang that out, realign that. That door is pretty good. I don't think I'm going to mess with that, so I probably won't mess with the door, but this fender definitely has to come back about, I don't know, 3/16 maybe an 1/8 inch. But yeah, so I think what we're going to do is get it jacked up, get this fender unbolted, take it off, put some heat to it, lay it down on something, and try to bang it out. So let's see what happens. We'll show you on the way. All right, I didn't know if you wanted to watch me struggle to get this off. I think we got all the bolts out. Pretty sure, but I'm not positive. So I'm trying not to drop the bumper down, but I think I might have to. All right. We got that. We got to get one more bolt out of the inner fender well that was spinning, and we can see where they did their patch. Not horrible. Not like I would do, but not horrible. It's still got the brace. That's great. See, that tells me that the fender might have been replaced. Don't know if it was a GM fender. And they did some kind of patch here on the cow, which is all typical. But yeah, surprisingly, it's not so bad. Everything looks pretty decent. So, all right, let me get this fender well out, and then maybe we can get banging on the fender. Gotta remove that light. Let's see if we can get this fender well out first. It's spinning on the inside, so makes it kind of difficult to there we go, hatch. There we go. All right. Now, those fender wells were painted. They're not supposed to be painted from the factory, but what we're going to do is, see the speed nut, it slipped in there. What we're going to do, oops, dropping stuff, is we are going to rescuff them and paint them rally red. That's more the proper, like I said, they were dyed from the factory. They were molded that way. Nope, 7/16. All right, I'm not gonna bore you with this. I will show you when we get the fender set up for banging. All right, I'm not sure what's going on with this camera. I had filmed partially me taking the fender off, and I don't think it came out. But all right, what I got to do now is got the fender on the ground, got some cushion under it, a couple layers and some foam. Gonna heat it up and then try to push it out from the other side. I'm not going to film the whole thing because I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me get it heated up and try working it, and I'll show you. All right, we did the initial push on it. We got one pop out, not even close yet, but it's getting better. See, that part is out. Got to work it a little bit here, but this is still banged. Oh, that's still hot. That's still got to get banged out, so let's get doing that. Well, it's still hot. Like I said, I'm afraid to set you on the tripod because I don't know what's going on with the camera. I'm too dumb to know this electronic stuff. So all right, after about 15-20 minutes messing with this, we got it pretty decent, probably 80-85%. You know, I've been thinking a lot lately that maybe we should change the name of the channel to 80-85%, because that's about how I do everything. Everything gets completed about 80-85%, and we move on to something else. ADD is a real thing, kids. Don't let anybody fool you. But no, it's definitely better. It's still wavy a little bit. The dent, as you can see, is gone. We got some high spots, we got some low spots, and I did just buff this part out right here with some compound just to see what we got. Like, I got a high spot there, got a low spot there. You feel everything with your fingers. You can feel it better with your hand than you can see it, just like body work. But like I said, all in all, I think it's 80-85%. Gonna get it back on the car, and then once it's mounted up solid, I might be able to get behind it and work it with a hammer and a dolly and get a little straighter. But I mean, ultimately, obviously this is gonna have to get body work and painted. So yeah, you can see where I compounded it. Got a lot of little solvent pops now. Pop them. So yeah, the paint's, like I said, it's pretty shot on this thing, but we're gonna still buff it up. I got paint coming. I'm gonna touch all this stuff up just to make it look more presentable right now, and because that's what we do, because we do it 80-85%. So all right, let me get this thing back on, and we'll go from there. All right, we just got the fender a little bit mocked up, got that gap a little bit better. Still got it's not bolted on, so, but just wanted to show you the dent. Still see it's a little wavy, definitely you can feel it, but like I said, it's 80-85% better, because that's what we do, 80-85%. Also cleaned up some wiring in here, redid the grounds, crimped on some new crimp connectors, got the headlights all working because it was a little wonky. The turn signal, the marker light, actually I don't know if turn signal is, but the marker light. And so yeah, so we're just gonna call it a day. Don't have a lot of energy today, but we're gonna call it, and we're gonna call it pretty decent. Like I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get behind here. See, I can get back here now and tap and put a dolly on that, or probably a piece of 2x4 I like to use. If you use metal, it just kind of course the paint's wasted anyway. But so all right, just wanted to give you an update. We'll show you when we get something else. All right, so before we get this fender all bolted back on, I'm gonna clean this wheel well up, repaint it. It was cracked here. I used some plastic adhesive, 2-part, I think it's like JB Weld. Also, I took the shims out of the fender and I painted them body color, and I painted the ones that are hidden black just so they don't rust. I kind of like to do that. I don't know, it's probably stupid, but it's what I do. All about attention to detail. So all right, like I said, all in all, we worked the fender a little bit more. It's still got a little wonk to it, but like I said, it's definitely better, that's for sure. We're going to try to touch up some of this paint and a little wet sand, and then buff it out, see what happens. Got a lot of little paint touch-ups to do on this, so we'll do that in the next few days. Not yet. We gotta paint that wing, really need to repaint these mirrors, so still tons to do. All right, little update. We got this about as good as we're gonna get it, I think. I mean, I probably could still work it more. We touched it up with some red paint that we had. The paint we have on order is back ordered due to supply issues, evidently. So we are going to move forward. We found a spray can that's apple red that's very close. We did paint the inner fender well. It actually came out pretty good. We sanded it and painted it. Like I said, they're not supposed to be painted. They're supposed to be red from the factory, but those are like $500 or $600, and I'm not going that route. These obviously, well, this one, see, I haven't touched that one. They had painted that one, but they also did it with a brush, so not the greatest, but there's still some lines in it, but it's done with a spray can. It looks 100% better than it did. So waiting for that to dry, and then we can put this fender back on. Also tidying up some wiring here, getting everything, new ends, new grounds on them, some zip ties, so everything's kind of tidied up where it's supposed to be. The wire was hanging down in there, and we tucked it up under the horns and zip tied it. So all in all, just kind of cleaning up other people's stuff, more or less, I guess. But all right, well, just wanted to give you an update, and we'll show you once we get this fender and everything back on. And like I said, still tons to do, but we'll get it done slowly, very slowly. All right, fender's all bolted back in, all the wiring's cleaned up on this side, everything's much better, looks a lot better. The red is a little bit brighter. It's not supposed to be the same color anyway, but came out okay. I still gotta try to move this part of the fender in a little bit. All this is good. I gotta touch up some. That all is decent. When they did the body work there, that line's kind of messed up, but it is what it is. All in all, it came out pretty good. Dent looks pretty good. It's still got a little here and there, but we got, like I said before, 80-85% of it out. So we banged on it a little bit, got some high spots down, but like I said, we got to wet sand and buff everything once we're done. But fender well's back in, all nice and bright red. All the wirings buttoned up here, everything's repainted, and I got to paint the radiator support at some point, but just moving along slowly. All right. All right, this side's all back together as you saw. I gotta bang down a little high spot there, do a little finagling, try to get that body line better, but that might not get better until everything's painted. But we pulled this fender off, wheel well out. We're gonna repaint the wheel well. Gonna clean the inside of this fender and get it painted on the inside. And before we do anything, we gotta adjust this door. So this door has to go at least an 1/8 inch, probably more forward. So that's part of the reason for taking the whole fender off. It's just easier than to try to struggle. You can do it, but it's not worth it. So we'll clean this area up. We straightened up some of the wiring here yesterday, and we'll probably clean all this up. We did pull this motor out, checked all here, made sure nothing mouse nest was in there like the other one. It looked good. So, but yeah, and like I said, the body bushings definitely were replaced. There's a little bit of body work done. They've repaired the cowl here, did a little pop. Not the greatest fix, but more than adequate. Something you don't see. I get a little concerned even when you can't see it, but the work they did was fine. Like I said, if they would have spent a little more time on the body work when they did it, it really would have been really good, because it really, you can see they cut the rust out and they welded a piece in. So, you know, they did it, you know, they didn't put a panel in, but they did put metal in before they put Bondo over it, which was great, but just their body work wasn't really up to snuff. But all right, we're gonna get this cleaned up. I'm gonna wash this, sand it down. I don't know if we're gonna paint today. This weather's not great. Very, very, very humid, very foggy. So we'll see in the next hour or two what we're going to do. All right, fender's back on and the fender well's painted. Had to do some pretty modifications here. We had a lot of chip paint. Gonna have to actually grind on this a little bit. This just doesn't fit right. I don't know why. Is it an aftermarket fender? Who knows? But we got that gap better. That one's much better. It's still a hair tight on the bottom, but there's not much you can do. That's all stuff you fix before you paint, and we're not painting right now, so gonna have to do lots of touch up here. Not a big deal. We're gonna have to try to grind this down. It's just barely hitting right there, and there's not much else I can do with it, so gonna have to just kind of taper this, which is pretty common on these cars. But got the wheel back on, got everything back on. We'll put the hood probably back on tomorrow. That still has to be repaired, but the fiberglass isn't coming until Wednesday, I think. And we gotta change transmission fluid on the old Excursion and flush the antifreeze out. So once we get the hood on this tomorrow, I think that'll probably be it for the week. And then next week we have a little road trip coming up. So all right, well, just wanted to update you. Nice shiny red inner fender wells now. They're not 100% proper, but they look better than they did before. So all right, we'll show you tomorrow when we get the hood on. All right, so now we're gonna start touching some paint up here and there. Got a lot of little chips and stuff. I don't actually have the paint yet, so we're not touching up. We're just prepping to touch up. But some of this, not sure what we're gonna do with. I'm gonna try to squeegee some stuff in there. I pulled the wing off. The wing, well, it's obviously made overseas because it had 10mm bolts. Nothing had 10mm bolts from the factory, not on these cars. So we pulled the wing off. Still having a little problem with this lock. It's very, very tight, and I'm afraid I'm gonna break the key. It works, but I'm gonna pull that apart real quick just to my ADD, you know. But yeah, so here, this is the one area that we got to sand this out here, touch that up. There's definitely filler in here. I can tell, I can feel it. But yeah, we're making headway slowly. See, we got some cracks here, but we're gonna try to touch all this up before we buff it out. We'll run probably 1200 or 1500 over wet sand it. And then we're waiting on fiberglass and matte to fix the hood. And then we got to do something with that too. So yeah, lots to do. So let's get to it. And as you can see, this isn't faring well. So hopefully we can save this wing and make it look good again.